All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball, Bean Talk episode 19. Now, obviously, what are we now? Week 7 into the regular season. Got
Already
so
almost
much.
mid-season,
It's
man.
damn near mid-season. So, obviously, a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of big news that just came out this week. So, obviously, kind of keeping it in that theme with our open discussion. Got to talk about some trade rumors, right?
There are some trade rumors right now. I think one that just came out today, Mike Williams, especially with the acquisition for the Jets for Devontae Adams. So that receiving core is finally going to be with Wilson, Lazard, and I spelled that already. Devontae, Wilson, Lazard.
Well, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's the receiving core. Had a
If
little
you want to throw in
right there.
Conklin.
Yeah, Conklin's there at the tight end, but I'm talking about mainly the receivers there. So, Mike Williams he hasn't really lived up to the expectations he has in this recent minute here. I know, when Garrett Wilson's not really getting the production, he kind of gets some, some targets here and there, but, Lazard's really the one picking it up for this receiving core when Garrett's not really, picking it up. But, this connection with him and Garrett, with Rodgers and Garrett, it's starting to pick up here. Yeah. But how you mentioned it before, how is that going to be now that Devontae's back in? Mm-hmm. I would hope Rodgers kind of splits the stats between them, and obviously Lazard here and there could kind of be their.
You would especially want them
blanket.
to, just assuming what that duo could possibly be.
Exactly. It's going to be a great duo to see. And then I just mentioned literally right now before you said your piece, Lazard could probably be used, as a security blanket. Now, those two are going to be more involved in the receiving end here. So, Mike Williams, there's 3 teams that are actively pursuing him. I know one of them is the Saints, which is to no one's surprise, actually, with Olave's out. He's missing the rest of the season. So the receiving core is pretty banged up there. And, they got to, a game against this Broncos coming in, which, we're going to discuss a little bit later on here. But that receiving end there, and then, Derek Carr's going to be out for a couple more weeks for an oblique injury. So, the Rattler is going to take the load for everything here. So that receiving core, it's going to be a lot to handle here. Kamara's not going to be able to pick up the load in the rush end here, especially, with how bad this offense is looking like now. You would expect Kamara to, now we have a good game, but, I'm expecting Kamara to kind of help to shift the lead here for Rattler specifically here. So Mike Williams to the Saints, I could possibly see that as a potential landing spot.
Which I see that as a possibility, sure, but I think that's the outside chance, because they do need a receiver.
They do need a
losing
receiver,
Shaheed and Olave,
yes.
Yes, they do. They have a need, but I don't know if that'd be the place that he would end up going to. I know, obviously, you see the Steelers and the Chargers are probably the other two possibilities, which I don't know. I just don't see him going back to the Chargers that he just left. That's this year. So realistically, I think the Steelers, especially, they have that need. Obviously,
Pickens, the receiver.
Pickens needs some.
They couldn't get Ayuk in the offseason. They still need a.
I mean, realistically, it would be a pretty cheap trade to make. It would probably be like a third or a fourth round.
They would have to give up a lot.
Yeah, no. Just realistically, I think the Steelers are the best fit for him specifically. I think, just getting out of New York in general just has to be, the top priority. I mean, it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, and then speaking of the Steelers, the quarterback situation with Fields and Russ now. So obviously, all the implications are coming forward saying that, Russ is going to get his official first start this season on Sunday. Right.
Well, we're just assuming. Because that's the thing too. Everyone's leaning towards that, but the more and more we keep seeing, no one's actually said, Russ is starting.
No, Ian hasn't confirmed it. Schefter hasn't confirmed it. They're just making, they're just saying that, he might get the start.
Which, and I know, Fields specifically saying too, I feel like I haven't done enough to keep the job. But that's the thing. He's just opening the door. If Tomlin chooses to bench me, he has every right to, I haven't done. I don't think I've earned the job.
Look, you can make them yes. Under Justin Fields, they were 4-2. He has 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, this and that. But when you're really looking at the games here, Justin Fields, he still has a lot of improvement to do.
Of course,
it is passing.
It's in the pass game, which is kind of everything I outlined in the recap. That is the
one thing I've always had about Justin Fields. He's a great runner. He's gonna get the field position with his legs, and that's why the offense explodes with Justin Fields at quarterback, right? But when you're coming into crucial scenarios, specifically in crunch, we saw against the Dallas Cowboys team, he had a lot of overthrows. He wasn't hitting his shot. He wasn't making his throws, But again, his receivers, they weren't helping him either, with Pickens getting locked up and everyone else on the receiving end there. But when he had wide open guys, he was missing throws, some really, really crucial throws, right? And the run game was not working for them. That's why, they were to pick it up because of their defense there. That's the one thing about Fields. You could say maybe, yes, bring in Russ just because, Russ has an arm. But how much trust do we have
arm does he have left either way?
He's already hitting Unk stage already. Well, he is
already Unk stage.
He's already Unk, right? He's already hitting Unk. He had a little upbringing last season with Denver, just a little bit, kind of bringing it back in the mix here and there. But he's coming back from the calf injury, right?
Is it the calf?
I'm pretty sure it's the calf. Yeah. He's coming back from his calf injury, and the calf injury just it's not his arm. It's not gonna be. Look what happened in 2020.
But it's not even like forget like what the injury is holding back. Just even when he's healthy, he hasn't looked that good.
And especially how the offense is surrounding him with the weapons. He's like, look, maybe it's just something just because, Wilson, he is a better passer in the fields. Maybe he can finally get Pickens open, finally get the targets that he deserves there. But, this is going to be his first start coming back from the injury, not really having the same play style he had when he was with Seattle. So really, this is just the game, and we just have to wait and see how that's going to go. And his benching
if he does the right move. Which, and in just my opinion right now, I mean, it's just what I was saying in the recap event about last week. That, I know we have a lot more that we want to see out of the pass game, and I know what he does. I mean, it somewhat makes up for it with that run game, but I mean, he's been managing these games. He's managed them to a 4-2 record. Yeah. So I mean, it just feels like a weird spot to do it. I mean, if you could see that he's hampering them, that he's actually holding them back from what they could be, then I could understand this a little more. If they were 2-4, even 3-3 would make sense to me. But when you're above 500, it just I don't feel the need to shake things up. I mean, if they think that they can get more out of this offense, I mean, I don't really think so. But I mean, that's the one thing you could see. And I mean, I don't know if we could just bring it back to, some other of these trade candidates. I mean, someone that just left the Steelers and Deontay Johnson, obviously really making a name for himself with the Panthers. And we've been talking about a little more and more that he could be someone that definitely gets shipped out. I would honestly, and we kind of like talked about a little bit that the Cowboys maybe would be somewhere that you would like to go there. Obviously they're
not, but I would obviously like that. Get another veteran guy. Another veteran guy, a guy is actually would be viable for receiver too. Deontay Johnson there. Another weapon for Dak to kind of get the stress off him for
realistically. I would honestly think a guy like him or D Hop. I think the Chiefs really they do need to boost up that core too.
Yeah. And they're coming off the bye, opening up with the Vikings, right? 2 undefeated teams.
I think.
Pretty sure, no? Or maybe it'll be week 7. Maybe.
No, because week seven's the Vikings Rams Thursday night.
So I know they're playing. I can get the facts. Maybe we can check that right now. But yeah, look, we saw with the Rashee Rice, he's done with the season, right? So Xavier Woods is gonna really pick up the load from this. I'm checking right now just to double check.
Yeah, I don't see him on the schedule. No, they're not playing the Vikings.
Yeah, because I saw in a tweet. I probably just misled it. Yeah. So yeah. Thank God we fact checked it right now. I saw in a tweet. I guess it's just mentioned they're both undefeated teams there. But we're looking at the Chiefs. They're 4-1 here, right? But this team's not scary at all.
Yeah. They're not especially because of that receiving core. And it's unfortunate. They lose Harley Brown before the season starts. Rashee Rice, the crazy injury.
And was not even to play at all this season. They already announced that a couple weeks ago here. So maybe boosting up that receiving core with Deontay Johnson, another speedy guy on that receiving end, could maybe get the Chiefs a little bit more cushion to see they're a team to be in the AFC. But how they're looking right now, especially with the way Mahomes is playing right now, look, the thing everyone's gonna ignore about that, look, they're 5-0. So no one's really gonna care about that. But there's a lot of things to see come with this Chiefs scene.
Another thing too, if you bring in a new receiver, I mean that opens it up for Kelsey, who's actually been getting better little by little. I mean, he's actually starting to look more like himself week by week. And if they can get him involved with a new receiver, whether that's Deontay, D Hop, if that's Mike Williams, any of these receivers that are still trending on that trade market, could definitely expect them to start finding their form. And what happens when the Chiefs find their form late in the season? They just take it into January, and that's all they need down the stretch. But I mean, one last guy that I really think, the Raiders are saying they're kind of holding back that this isn't really a big possibility, but Max Crosby, the trade rumors are going to be there once they get rid of Devontae. We've been saying, they probably should embrace the tank, and if they're going to embrace the tank, you probably got to trade Max Crosby.
Yeah, he's good. The Raiders are going to want a pretty good amount for him, for sure, first, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they can get a first. I don't know if the way that I just don't think they'd end up getting it. Look at the guys like Devontae got a third. I think maybe you get a second and a third. I just don't think a first round pick would come out of this.
Let's see with this, because Crosby's going to be worth a decent. He's going to be worth a decent amount here. But the only thing is, Crosby, he is younger than Devontae. So he does.
What's his contract situation right now?
With Devontae or
no, with Max, because that's also going to take a lot into consideration. Is it's a contract year, or when's he?
4-year, $94 million. 53 of it guaranteed.
Yeah, but when does that run out? Is the
2026.
Okay, so see, he's still under control.
His rookie extension,
and they could use that as leverage to maybe garner a first round pick.
He's still under contract for 2 more years.
That probably makes like a second round. I mean, look, if they're lucky, they might be able to hold him out for a first, but I doubt it. I mean, I don't know if you've seen those rumors about the Lions and the Niners are two teams that, you know, people are really hearing that it could be.
I mean, with Hutchinson out,
they absolutely need some type of extra help for the Lions. I mean, for the Niners,
they did extend one of their
I forgot. It's a name I hadn't even heard of, but I mean, obviously he's a strong part of that Lions D line. But I mean, just if we're really just gonna look at
McNeil 4 years, so that's gonna be obviously, you know, bolstering up that D line, so it's gonna help him a lot there. But you know, if they manage to get Crosby, the Lions is gonna be even better than NFC.
If they get Crosby, it's probably locking them up for the NFC.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they're probably the best team right now in the league by far. Not even looking at record, right? Just the team all around them. Yeah. I would say the Lions are up there with the Vikings as well. But again, you know,
well, if we're talking like talent-wise, the Vikings aren't really a team that talent-wise you would say that, you know, the players that they have on there, they just meshed well as a team.
Yeah.
And they're working well together. I mean, if that's something that we want to get into, best team. I mean, obviously they're not undefeated, but I think the Ravens are really getting into that conversation. Right, the best team in football.
They're finally getting to the groove. You know, after that slow 0-2 start, you know, they pick it up against my Cowboys, and then from there, and then they come into a game against the Commanders team. The Commanders team is hot and ready right now, and like I said it before, this is going to be a statement game for Jayden Daniels, and it exactly was. He had a great game. Don't get me wrong, right? So this wasn't a shitter for him. I already mentioned it there, but the Ravens are really picking it up, and now that they're really
let's not forget that Bills game.
Exactly, the Bills game really solidified it. And they're like, oh shoot, we have Derrick Henry. Let's give him the ball. So there you go. And this is a situation where, like, if Henry's not getting going, they're not going to win. No, Lamar's picking it up. His receiving end's kind of getting there, you know, for slowly picking it up as well. And then the defense is looking extremely phenomenal, especially against coming into that Bills game, and they're looking very, very explosive. So a lot of things to tell with this Ravens team here. But, you know, you got the Ravens, you got the Niners. Not Niners. You got the Ravens. We just mentioned around the Lions, the Vikings as well. And then I know a lot of people, they're going to include the Chiefs there, but...
No, the Chiefs, like, you know, you don't see them as it, but I mean, they find a way.
But they're always going to find a way. You can't count Mahomes out.
Exactly.
We see the amount of times what happens when we count Mahomes out. They're going to find a way. And when they find a way, it's pretty much locked up for that AFC.
Exactly. And I think one last thing, you know, obviously got to get my own side of things. You know, Cooper Kupp is trending to return this week against the Raiders. This is something that obviously, you know, I wasn't really expecting he would be back this early, but, you know, he's back. I mean, he should be back, and obviously that's going to help this team a lot. You know, off that 1-4 start, you know, coming off the bye. I don't really like the early bye in the season, but, you know, after such an ugly start, that could come back as a godsend. So, you know, okay, we reset. You know, we turned. You know, that was the rough part of the season. Come out of the bye, you want to come back stronger. And
like what happened last season when you guys started 3-6.
Exactly. After Stafford's injury, once he came back from his thumb injury, you know, all was well. You know, they were able to leave our team back to the playoffs. But
it is completely different team,
it's a completely different team. You don't have Aaron Donald, but you know,
defense is
the defense is, you know, let's call it how it is. It's atrocious right now. But how realistic would it be for the 1-4 Rams to turn this around, in your own opinion?
I mean, when we're really looking at the West, you know, I still have some hope.
Because it's looking mediocre right now.
Yeah, right now it's just.
Because what are the Cardinals? 2-4.
They're 2-4.
Yeah,
and then the Seahawks are 3-3. Really?
Both 3-3.
Huh?
Both on the top are 3-3. So realistically, we're only 2 games out.
Yeah, it's still, you know, it's still early on. A lot of things can happen, especially, you know, with the Niners. They're probably going to pick it right back up there. But I wouldn't say it's officially, you know, over to count them out right now just because they're.
But let's just to look at it this way. I mean, look at the schedule that we have out right now. I mean, the Raiders. I mean, like, I don't want to call any of these easy games, but look, winnable games, you know, the Raiders, obviously, the Vikings, that's obviously a tough one. So, yeah, I could chalk that up to a loss, but Seattle, we play them well. The Dolphins look rough. The Patriots obviously look rough. Eagles, another tough game. But, I mean, look, the schedule overall, aside from maybe that Bills game, that Niners game, sure, and the Cardinals game, it looks winnable. So, to at least bring it back to at least a sub 500, I mean, it's an over 500 record is realistic. Does 9-8 get you in the playoffs? Would you even get it to 10-7?
I mean, look at the NFC North. Literally, all of them right now are.
That's true. But is that sustainable?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Throughout the rest of the season, how are the Bears?
If they end up sustaining all of that, the North right now is looking disgusting. Like, it's like we're starting a dialogue with the NFC North right now. I mean, they're all doing really great. The Bears are trying to pick it up with Caleb Williams. The Packers, Jordan Love's looking great. The Lions,
but the only thing I can't say, yeah, sure, the Lions, and I think regardless of how it is,
yeah.
But the one thing I can't say about the Vikings, sure, they're starting off 5-0. But let's remember 2016.
I mentioned it before.
And going into this week is a pivotal week to tell us what type of team the Vikings are. They're playing the Lions. Yep. This game is going to tell us the hierarchy of the NFC North. If the Vikings come out with a dud like they did that game against the Jets a couple weeks ago, could definitely expect this to be another fluky type start for these Vikings. And look, I mean, I don't want to think that I'm definitely rooting for Sam Darnold, but they got that tough game against the Lions. If the Rams are a little better, you got Kupp back, you might have Puka back for that Thursday nighter. Could this be a start of a little slide for the Vikings? And that could start making some of these teams in the NFC not look as strong as they once did, and the Rams to maybe start making some noise after a 1-4 start.
We could see, and like you mentioned, coming back, maybe that could be the focal point of why so. But again, there's a lot of flaws looking at the Rams team.
Of course, and it's defensively
is what's going to really put you guys out of the race.
But once the offensive pieces come back, is that going to be enough to at least get us back to that 500 type record? And we'll just have to wait and see. But I think that's enough for all of that. Let's get into the Thursday nighter. This is, sure, it doesn't look that enticing.
There's not really a lot to talk about here, so we're just gonna get out of the way. Bo Nix against the Rattler. I mean, look at both these teams. You got the Broncos, who have an arguably really great defense.
But they're missing their best defense.
PS2 is out. But when we're looking at the Saints side of the receiving end, Olave's out of this game, and just what we mentioned, Shaheed is out for the season. So their receiving core is very lackluster right now. They're gonna have to rely on the run game with Kamara, maybe Jamal Williams here and there. Doubt he's gonna get a lot of snaps there, but could pick up at least a decent amount of yardage there. But they're really gonna have to run this offense through Kamara, right? They're gonna have to get the run game going very early against this really great Broncos. Not really great, but just very good
above average Broncos defense.
There's really good Broncos defense there, and to obviously put the less stress off off Rattler, because it's barely a second game coming. He's still kind of getting used to the system.
And that's what we saw at least in the first half against the Buccaneers. The run game did get going. That took a lot of pressure off Rattler, and then the run game slowed down. Rattler had to do more, and sure, he didn't do bad. Obviously, he had regardless, it was a 27-point game, but
with the pieces he had, with the pieces he's gonna have to work with, if he can manage pulling out a dub with this, it's gonna be a lot of eye openers. They're not saying that the Saints are gonna come back because of this. No, they're 2-4. Looking at this situation, I'm gonna just throw it in. It's pretty much a trash garbage pick here. I'm gonna just go with the Saints here just because the Rattler there. So we might have a disagreement there, but I'm gonna have to go with the Saints on this one.
Yeah, just looking at the way this. I mean, look. What we were talking about, just always with the Broncos, Bo Nix, obviously that slow start, hadn't looked good in the first, 2-3 games of the season, but little by little, he's gaining that connection with Courtland Sutton. And then last week, sure, it wasn't a loss, but that second half told us a lot of how, Bo Nix really, willing this team back into games. And we started seeing that Troy Franklin connection that I was talking about specifically last week on Bean Talk. That if they start getting that connection that they had in Oregon, it could start we could seeing some deadly things this way for the Broncos team, which also something I didn't mention earlier. Expect the Broncos to be active in the trade market for a receiver, any of these receivers that we were already talking about. And as much as we didn't expect them to be too deadly this year, it could be something to move the needle and maybe get them a little closer into the playoff picture. But regardless, I think where I'm heading. I'm going with the Broncos. I think Bo Nix is going to be able to outplay Spencer Rattler in this game, and I think the defense overall is going to be the main difference. I think Bo Nix is going to fare better against the Saints defense than Rattler will against the Broncos. And I'm not expecting too much out of the run game for the Broncos. Is the only thing. Javonte, I love him. Javonte. I was getting mixed. We got two Williams running backs, so that's always a little confusing. But yeah, I expect him to and we'll get into that's in the parlay, but I think I have him over on whatever his yards were. But I think he's going to be not much of a factor apart from that, which honestly, let's get right into it. Into the parlay, which obviously starts with me. I have the Broncos with the road team. Obviously had to, Bo Nix is my guy. That's why I had to call the Broncos first. And with Bo Nix, I'm going to have him on a demon pick over 224.5 yards. This is just one of those, at the end of the day, I don't think defense is going to be much of a factor overall. I think it's going to be more of a high-scoring game, probably getting into the 30s. And I think, because of that, Bo Nix is going to get his fair share of yardage. Running back, like I said, Javonte Williams. I'm expecting him to go over 47.5 yards. Just not much apart from just, getting getting those first downs, which, if it doesn't look great on the stat sheet at the end of the day, but, it's going to contribute to the win. And Courtland Sutton, another demon pick. I'm expecting him to go over. I'm getting into 60 yards. The line is at 59.5. I think he definitely gets that.
Yeah, then moving in with mine, with the Saints, I got Spencer Rattler going over 185.5 pass yards. We saw, look, he managed to crack 200 last week against the Bucks here, so he's going to really get active in the pass game there, especially with Kamara helping a lot inside on the receiving end there. Speaking of Kamara as well, like I said, this offense is going to have to run through Kamara on the rush game, so they're going to have to get the rush attack very early, to put less draft off Spencer to kind of at least get going in the offense. I'm going over 68.5 rush yards. Going to have him get a bounce back on this game, and then, like I mentioned, Jamal Williams. There's not really a lot of decent picks there, but, go Jamal Williams with 9.5 rush yards. I'm going to go the over on this one just because, if once Kamara gets active, Jamal's going to get a couple snaps there, get a couple rush yards in there.
Absolutely. Obviously, with most of their weapons, it was getting slim for you to make your picks, but regardless, you got it done. And, we got a disagreement once again to start this week. Let's see if that actually helps you get back into the mix as you're down 6 out all of a sudden. And
all of a sudden, the teams that I used to pick for disagreements just want to shit the bucket when I pick them.
It's helping me.
It's unfortunate.
Are you shitting the bucket, or am I just making good picks? That's the two sides of the coin.
1 hour analysis on this topic next week.
The full episode.
Will
be about the difference of those picks. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. That's gonna wrap up the 19th episode of Bean Talk. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe, and sure to come right back, hopefully Tuesday morning, to recap this game and all of Sunday's games on the Week 7 recap.